right, here we go. It is the Nightcap, brought to you by BearcatJournal.com. As always, presented by our good friends at Galactic Fried Chicken. Visit www.galacticfriedchicken.com. Download the app for Android, iPhone, everything Galactic. Get yourself down to Dayton, Kentucky. Tell them to pump it up. Save yourself 15%. Or go to the website, contact Shane. Maybe get your tailgate catered for Saturday. They'd love to do it. They have competitive rates, and you get to pick, how many people you're serving, how much you want to spend per person. You can work that all out. So make sure you check it out. Maybe cater your Bengals Ravens Sunday night watch party, something along those lines. If you want a little smaller event as well. All right, Aaron, let's get going.
Let's.
Unfortunately, because nothing's ever easy in the Brendel household, I was not able to get to media availability today at the Fifth Third Arena, where it was a photo day. But kind of what we expected was going to happen at photo day happened. And that was the arrival of none other than Drew Adams joining the Cincinnati basketball staff. Later in the day, Cincinnati made it official, put out that Drew Adams was now a member of the athletic department as the associate athletic director for basketball. If you don't know, Drew Adams has a pretty outstanding history already in the game of basketball, as he has spent the last 8 years on the staff at Bradley and working successfully his way up through the process. He was at one point recently named top 50 most impactful mid-major assistants in both 2020 and 2022. One of the top 5 assistant coaches in the Missouri Valley Conference in 2020. He also worked at New Mexico, worked at Indiana, has bounced around and been also Tennessee. He was a student at Tennessee. This is not, I know if you look around, and here's the connection that everybody wants to talk about. Let's just put it on Front Street. Drew Adams' dad, Mark Adams, runs the Indiana Elite Basketball program. He also runs a program called A-Hope that brings potential basketball prospects from Africa to the United States. One of those prospects is a young man named Flory Badunga. Flory Badunga is a top 5 player, a consensus top 5 player in the class of 2024. Flory Badunga also visited Cincinnati unofficially on Wednesday or Tuesday. Right. Today's Wednesday, right?
Yes.
Yeah. Unofficially visited Cincinnati for the first time on Tuesday. There has long been a belief in the basketball world that whoever has Drew Adams on staff is going to be the school that Flory Badunga attends. We talked about this a little bit on the BCJ podcast tonight, but I wanted to isolate it because I think we saw 9 crystal balls or future casts or whatever across all the networks today.
Yeah.
I wanted to address my thoughts on some of that. Before I do you have any questions? From where we're at right now, do you have any questions, like from a fan perspective, that you would like me to answer before I get into my thoughts on Drew Adams, Flory Badunga, and what it all means?
I mean, I think everyone's seen everyone else's opinions at this point, if they're truly interested, on all over Twitter and social media in general, about what this move could mean for Cincinnati. So obviously everyone's hyped about it because, you brought it up on the show tonight. Indiana had the opportunity to do just this. So fans from Indiana in particular that are getting upset about their team.
Purdue also upset.
I mean, this is just another win in Cincinnati's belt over the state of Indiana, right?
Yes. Do you really want to get into why I think Indiana, like the Indiana fan base, is really upset right now?
Because Dave asked it. What are you doing with all this Big Ten money?
Well, I think it's deeper than that. So, do you know the name Dane Fife?
No.
Dane Fife played at Indiana, had a prominent role on a team at Indiana that made a significant tournament run. Kind of a name important in Indiana basketball. Dane Fife, for the longest time, was an assistant coach at Michigan State. Dane Fife had great connections to the Indiana Elite program. Let's just leave it at that. Dane Fife, for the longest time, like almost a decade plus, was at Michigan State as an assistant for Tom Izzo. Nobody leaves Izzo's staff, really. Like, it's a good work environment. Izzo's great to work for. He can be kind of a pain in the ass, but, who can't when it's head coaches? Indiana called Dane Fife home. And then Mike Woodson got rid of him. And it wasn't a pretty ending. So there's a lot of bad feelings from some of those people that are around Indiana basketball that hold some loyalty to, like, it's Indiana basketball. That's all they've got, right? Is loyalty to the past.
Yeah.
Dane Fife is a connection to that. And the current IU staff kind of shit on him. So there's a bit of a fracture. And why is that important? Because Indiana Elite has been almost a feeder system for Indiana basketball. If Indiana gets a kid out of the state of Indiana, there's a great chance over the past 2-3 decades that they come from Indiana Elite. Indiana Elite is coached by a man named Mark Adams. Mark Adams has a son. His name is Drew. So, Mike Roberts, Cincinnati's assistant coach, also went to Indiana. Has great connections to most of the people in Indiana, including the Indiana Elite basketball program, as Mike Roberts helped recruit Indiana Elite when he was an assistant at Indiana. He has a great relationship with the Adams family. Had to. I couldn't say that and just act like I didn't say it.
Fair enough.
He has a long-standing relationship with Drew Adams, who they are pretty similar in age and have worked their way up the hard way a lot of times through the college basketball world, up the coaching ranks. And I think that is one of the things that made this connection to Cincinnati so beneficial, or something that Drew Adams saw as a positive. Even though he wasn't joining Cincinnati in a bench role, he was joining a staff with great chemistry, great continuity. And, we always talk about, you want a great place to work. I think Cincinnati is seen around the coaching community right now, working for Wes Miller. Cincinnati's a great place to work. Why? Because the people in the program, or the people that have worked for him in the past, talk about how great it is working in the environment created by Wes Miller, and the culture created by Wes Miller. So that's how you get a guy like Drew Adams from an associate head coaching position at a basketball school. Bradley is very much a basketball school. It's one of those schools in the Missouri Valley that believes we should be competing at the top of this conference every year. So to get him away from a bench position to an administrative position or a support position here at Cincinnati is huge. That takes us to Flory Badunga. As I mentioned, Flory, connections to Indiana Elite, connections to A-Hope, the Adams family. Do I have to do that every time I say it?
No.
You don't want it to be a thing? I can't make it a thing?
You don't have to do that every time. I just think you just, maybe if you say Adams family, just.
Well, not the dun-dun-dun-dun. I'm going to take that out if I just do the. It's your show. that's probably, you probably missed the Addams Family by a couple years, right? Like that wasn't something you watched like with your grandpa when you were a kid.
I mean, I remember it. Yeah.
Okay. We talked earlier tonight about the age gap between the two of us. Anyhow, Flory Badunga, top 5 player in the class of 2024, was brought over by A-Hope, played for Indiana Elite. He's at Kokomo High School in Indiana. His head coach is actually a name basketball fans would remember, John Peekenpaw, who helped take Purdue Fort Wayne. Huh?
What a name.
Peekenpaw?
Yeah.
Remember the Indiana Purdue Fort Wayne team that was really good that UC played? I think they had the guy with the headgear.
No.
This was during his tenure. His head coach is a guy that people in college basketball know. Anyhow, there's a great relationship there. But as I explained on the BCJ pod tonight, I feel like I'm rambling right now. I got to get the Addams Family thing threw me off. There's a great relationship with Mark Adams and A-Hope and Indy Elite as the people that brought Flory over, connected him with Kokomo High School. Why Kokomo High School? It's a school that has a great international program. They actually have, the high school has a dorm for international students.
Oh, wow.
To come over and learn at their high school and broaden their horizons. There's a lot of trust and a lot of respect between Mark Adams. You see, I'm avoiding doing it because I could every time just say the Addams Family, but instead I'm being specific. But here's the thing, and everybody today, the first time I saw Flory Badunga in April, the entire conversation throughout that weekend was, yeah, that kid's great, but he's going wherever Drew Adams is. Well, at that point in time, nobody knew him. Nobody knew the kid existed. So as he's building his legacy, building his reputation, evaluators are watching, people are deciding where he's going to be ranked, how good is he. At the end of the summer, that happens. And he's a top 5 kid. Guess what? Most everything is out the window at that point in time in terms of package deals and this kid's connected to that guy. You're at a point now, if you're the kid, you can do whatever the hell you want.
Well, and I think what's been interesting about the crystal balls that I've seen is that they've been 6 out of 10, as far as confidence in that crystal ball.
I don't even.
I'm just telling you what I've seen. I haven't even looked. I'm just from the
confidence
screen caps that people have put on Twitter.
Yeah. So I think if you would have asked me in April, if you'd have told me in April that Drew Adams was going to be on staff at Cincinnati on October 5th, I would have told you then Flory Badunga is going to be a Bearcat. But when you shoot up the rankings like that, and you go from even if he ended up at let's say 37, he was the 37th ranked player in the country in the class of 2024, I would have told you hire Drew Adams, you're going to get Flory Badunga. 5 is different, man. 5.
Yeah. You have all the power.
As Dave said, he could call John Shire tomorrow and be like, hey, bro, I want to come to Duke. And John Shire would be like,
cool.
All right.
Come on home.
Do you need to come down for a visit or how do you want to do this? So do I think hiring Drew Adams impacts Cincinnati's ability to land Flory Badunga?
Yes.
Absolutely. Sure. That's a guy that has connections to a kid that are critical.
Yes.
Do I think
I
think here's what's more important.
It's not a foregone conclusion.
It's not a foregone conclusion, but here's also what I think. Did Cincinnati hire Drew Adams? And this is the most important part. Did Cincinnati hire Drew Adams to get Flory Badunga? No. What Cincinnati hired Drew Adams for was to increase their ability to recruit successfully in the Midwest, like they're seeing in the South with the combination of Chad Dollar and Andre Morgan. They are making inroads, massive inroads in the South. They want to make those same type of inroads in the Midwest, and they feel like pairing Drew Adams and Mike Roberts will have a very similar effect to pairing Andre Morgan and Chad Dollar in the South. That's ultimately what this is about, more than anything. If it ends up that you get Flory Badunga because of that philosophy, outstanding.
But keep in mind that as his position, he's not allowed to be on the road. He can only do that from
but that's
his office.
Sure. College basketball's
it's worth
changing.
Noting.
Things are changing in college
Changes.
basketball. And you can recruit from the comfort of your office these days. You don't have to be sitting in the bleachers at an AAU event to be able to recruit anymore.
We spend more time together than anyone in one another's lives. Outside of
I spend more time with you than I do with Kelly.
I think that I'm almost there with Rachel as well. So I mean,
you maybe spend more time with the baby now because you're doing daddy daycare.
Maybe, yeah, but we do that without being anywhere near one another. So
recruiting from your office is not what it used to be. So, end of the day, the Drew Adams hire is significant in a lot of ways. One of those ways is increasing your odds to land Flory Badunga. Is it a guarantee that they're going to land Flory Badunga? No.
It's not a Badunga dunk yet.
But Cincinnati's basketball offices, Cincinnati's basketball operation, Cincinnati's basketball recruiting all got better today with the hire of Drew Adams. That's a good thing. We'll see you tomorrow night. It's the Nightcap, brought to you by Galactic Fried Chicken, right here on BearcatJournal.com.
See it!